Welcome back to Grit Gym. Well, Grit Gym headquarters anyway. Every day, every weekday at 12:30 we come to you so that you guys can come on here, ask questions. You can make in the comments section, and we can get clear on where you want to go, help you out with your health, your exercise, mindset, nutrition, and recovery is a big portion of that. So we got Monday on us right now. Okay. Monday is a day where either it's like 95% of people are bogged down and hate Mondays, and the other 5% love Mondays, just think Monday is the greatest day in the world. I happen to be real fired up on a Monday. Monday is like the day to take everything by storm, right? Because I'm all rested up, I'm ready to go. I don't know about you guys, but one of the things that really blows my mind is when people say, I got a case of the Mondays, or they don't like Mondays. Now, most of the world is saying don't like Mondays. I don't get it. I don't get it. Do you, like, if that's the case for you, then it might be a situation where you've really got to sit back and you've got to look at, where's my life right now? Am I living my purpose? Is this what I want to do? Okay? Because if you're not living your purpose, it would make things very, very, very difficult, which is kind of what we're going to get into now. A lot of people have been asking me, like, why do I do this every day? Why do you do these videos every day if you hate it? And I don't hate doing these videos, but I definitely don't enjoy it, and I've made that very clear in these videos. Why do I do this? Because this sets my soul on fire. Okay, so there's a certain amount of this that you guys deserve a better education is the wrong word, but better information than what you're getting. You're getting terrible information. Everybody's lying to you in this space, in the exercise space, in the nutrition space, in the recovery space, in the mindset space. I just read a book cover earlier, just before I was coming in here, where it said the 6 levels of self-esteem. Self-esteem is bullshit. It's not a real thing. It's not even. It's not real. You make it up. Like, what does self-esteem mean to you? Can anybody define self-esteem? Their definition, not Webster's definition, but your definition of self-esteem. It's like, and I ask this question on a regular basis. Same thing with confidence. Same thing with motivation. What is it? I lost my confidence. You know, I'm just low on self-esteem, or I'm just not very motivated. I lost my motivation. Well, how are you going to know? How are you going to know when you got it back? How are you going to know when you got it back if you don't know what it looks like? What does it look like? If you can't say what it looks like, it's pretty tough. It's pretty tough to know what you found. Okay, so I think that this is all bogus stuff that we're dizzying ourselves around. And I think what you're being lied to by is by people that are trying to sell something. And don't get me wrong, a lot of these things are probably very good products, probably very worthwhile to buy. A lot of it's really good stuff, but how much of it is actual tangible? I can put my hands on it. I know what's going on. It's very clear. It's very simple. Nah, you don't need 6 levels of self-esteem, 6 levels of complication. That's what that's called. Okay, this show is about bringing all of these together, the health, the exercise, mindset, nutrition, recovery, bring them all together in a very simple way. Okay, I'm trying to take really complex things and make them as simple as possible so that you guys can live those out. Because if you tried to do everything that I've ever learned in each one of those categories, you'd go nuts. Okay, I have to compartmentalize and make it simple for myself, so I'm going to try to do the same thing for you guys too. But you are being lied to. You're being lied to by marketers in the nutrition, exercise, recovery, mindset, health world. You're being lied to. Why are you being lied to, and why do all marketers lie? Now, being lied to is not necessarily a bad thing. Many times, being lied to, like, people have their reasons for lying. I mean, it's pretty simple. Like, your grandma gave you some gift at some point that you really didn't like. Did you tell her, hey, grandma, I hate this? No, you said, oh, thank you, grandma, I really appreciate it. Is that omission? Like, I bet you did appreciate it, and I bet you were thankful, but was the omission of, I hate it, really a lie? I mean, some people could say it is, but is that lie really a bad thing? Like, I don't know, bad and right and wrong and all that are kind of subjective anyway, but you are being lied to as far as nutrition goes, though, and you are being lied to as far as exercise goes. Recovery is one of those areas where I don't think we have enough research on it to make real tangible, that's not accurate, totally accurate, but we don't have a very good, very clear mechanism for how we're going to apply it to a broad range of people. I do think there are some constants, though, and I think you're being lied to about those too. For instance, there's a exercise, just a debacle going on right now. Most of it is just that there's this outrageous amount of complication around the whole thing. exercise really isn't all that complicated once you, it's kind of like the Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee said that when he first started learning about martial arts, he said he thought that a kick was just a kick and a punch was just a punch. Okay, and then he got into it quite a bit. He got years and years into it, and he said that then he thought it got really complicated. A kick was no longer just a kick, and a punch was no longer just a punch. Well, later on in his life, after he'd kind of built out master level, whatever master level is, I don't think any of us actually reached master level, but let's say we reached master level, then he said he was back to, it's actually very simple. A kick was just a kick, and a punch was just a punch. So that's where I kind of am right now in the exercise world. And I look at all of this stuff and I'm like, there's yoga saying it's the best thing in the world, Pilates saying it's the best thing in the world, strength training saying it's the best in powerlifting, strongman, you can only do cardio, there's certain things that you should and should not do. There's this multitude of things out there that how are you even supposed to wrap your head around how you're actually supposed to exercise? There are a few things that we're going to get into here in just a little bit, though. But another thing is, like, what about sugar addiction? This is a real thing that people are trying to promote. Okay, they're trying to promote sugar addiction. And I say it's a real thing, as in it's like saying the devil is a real thing. If you believe the devil is a real thing, it's a real thing. Okay, they're saying a sugar addiction, sugar addiction, sugar addiction. They're promoting something. Now, does sugar addiction actually exist? We're going to get into that here in a little bit. What about GMOs? Are you being lied to? Are you being misled? What about fast food trying to say that it's healthy? Almost all this stuff is absolute nonsense. And the marketing world is very interesting. Okay? People think that they're being victimized by it, but they're really not. The marketers play to what the world already does. So if the marketers found it too difficult to market fast food, for instance, let's go with fast food. Fast food chains do not exist because of marketers. Fast food chains exist because people pull into fast food and pay them their money. That's how the whole system works. Then those businesses can go and hire marketers to throw out more messages to get you to, oh, I better pull in here, spend more money, and it gives them more power. If you really, the power is in your hands, though. The power is in your hand because you spent that dollar. You are indicted with that power. I just gave it to you. You are not a victim of your circumstance. This is something that you have. You give power to businesses with your dollars. Every dollar that you spend gives power to that business. If you like Grit Jim's message, then you better buy everything that Grit Jim has. And for one, I guarantee you, and I know, like, even if it was your last dollar, even if you had to go into credit card debt to buy it, I guarantee it's going to be worthwhile that you did buy it. There's nothing more important than your health. Your money is not more important than your health because you can't enjoy it if you don't have your health. Okay? There is nothing more, your relationships aren't as important as your health because you cannot enjoy your relationships and be there with the ones that you love if you do not have health. And you sure as shit aren't going to enjoy your time if you're not healthy. So health is the number one thing. If you're going to, but your dollars are power. Your dollars are massive, massive powers and power in a capitalistic society. Okay, it's an exchange of value, but you're being lied to. So when you go and you spend money at a place like a McDonald's or somewhere that you disagree with, you just gave them power because then they can go and they can turn that into more marketers to give them more money. Okay, that marketer is playing to what society has bought into, not the other way around. The marketer is not manipulating you. You are giving power to that marketing source that ends up giving you not what you wanted. Okay? You're being lied to, and even though lies might not be that big of a deal, you're getting lied to. Okay, sugar, GMOs, this exercise debate that seems to be becoming more and more of a thing as time goes along. What about detoxes and cleanses and these teas and these wraps? And this is not an opinion. Not one of those has ever been shown to do anything. Not one. There is not one out there. And they might say on the side of their bottle, "Oh, it's been proven too." No, it hasn't. There is not one thing out there that has been proven that has shown any effect on cellulite or on fat loss. How these things work, and I'm kind of jumping forward into the presentation today, but how these things work, these pills, these elixirs, these liquids, these wraps, is that they're a source of motivation. Oh, I bought this, so now I've got to go take action. Well, I bought this, so it's going to make it all better, so now I got to go do something. It's because you use this thing, now you're eating better, and now you're working out. It's those two actions that got you the results that you wanted, not that you bought this stupid wrap, this detox tea, this cleanse, or whatever the hell it is that you're digging into. It has nothing to do with those. That was just a big waste of money that ended up making you take action. If you could just get it through your head, that was kind of a not very kind way to say it, but if you get it through your head that you're just going to take action and do those two things, well, save your money. Put your money where it's going to be better off. Put your money with an expert, okay? Don't go to your network marketing friend that says, oh, I have this detox tea and it's going to be wonderful and you're going to lose all this weight. Good luck, okay? Good luck, because you're going to need luck. And if you've been watching this for very long, you know I don't believe in luck. Luck is bullshit that you create so that you can deny what you actually want. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, okay? But this isn't opinion either. Like these elixirs, these things that people take, we have pretty good data on a lot of this stuff, okay? You could even attest to like snacking and things like that. You could go and you could pull out all these kind of behaviors that lead people towards a not so great path. And you could say that when adding this one thing, it just disrupts something just enough, and they end up doing exercise and nutrition, and all of a sudden everything gets better. But it doesn't come because of that thing that you ate. So what are we at? What are we at? And if you guys have questions, please write them in the comments section below. And if you have the time, please hit share and send this out. I hope that more and more people can start rallying on this idea that health is your number one resource in life, because we look at wealth and people hate on wealth, and we look at relationships and we're like, oh yes, of course, and we look at time, we're like, I wish we had more of it. Well, if you have better health, you command more of your time. Right? If you have better health, then you're better within all the relationships that you do have. You're better in the time that you do have that relationship. You are better able to go out into the world and produce more wealth. Okay, health is the catalyst for all things. So, and one of the ways that really came to this conclusion was when I first started doing like my physical therapy stuff. So when I first started doing my physical therapy stuff, I worked in an office, like a private deal, and I kind of liked it. I really did. I didn't really like working with certain injuries. Kind of jumping the gun on this story. So I went to work at a hospital, and I'm shadowing this person around. It's my first, and I had to meet this little lady. Her name was Eve, and she made this joke about Adam and Eve. And I was like, oh yeah, she's a cute little lady. She had her knee replaced, and I had to put her in this machine. We don't do this anymore, but it would flex and extend the knee a little bit just to get it moving, because you have to do that after a knee surgery, after a knee replacement. That cut me in half. I just couldn't even deal. So, and my thought, and I kept saying to all these ladies, and they loved me for showing up, you know, I'm this like young guy, and so they were really cute. But it's all these old women with knee and hip replacements, and I've got to move them around, I've got to put them in pain. I kept saying, you know, if you would have talked to me 20 years ago, or you talked to me 30 years ago, we could have prevented this whole thing. When light bulbs comes on, you could have prevented the whole thing. How many people go to the end of their lives and they say, well, I wish I would have done this, I wish I would have done that, I wish I would have taken better care of my body, I wish I would have, I know that if I could have gone back, I could have done X, Y, Z, whatever that thing is. Well, why would you wait for then, if you know that that's going to happen, because it is, okay, it is going to happen. Why would you wait for then to look back to now to say that about this time? Okay, you can do that 10 years ago too, or 20 years ago, whatever it is. Think back to a time when you could have done better, you could have done more, you could have done whatever it is. Well, why don't you do that right now? Why don't you double down right now? But I got a little bit off topic there, but detoxes and stuff like that, it's all based on motivation. And motivation is bullshit, so it's really based on focus. You take this pill, or you take this drink, or you do this wrap, and that wrap, that pill, that drink doesn't actually do anything for you. What you end up doing is, because you put on that wrap, because you did this drink before, because you took those pills, now all of a sudden you're like, well, now I gotta go to the gym and work out. Now I gotta eat better, so it does something for you. Those two things were what did something for you, not the pill. So a few strategies, and then we're gonna go into a little bit more of this, but the exercise debacle, they're complicating something that is actually very simple. They look at, like, yoga is the best, Pilates is the best, strength training is the best, Olympic lifting is the best, powerlifting is the best. You just need mobility strength. You know, like that one, those two are just the funniest things. All you need is mobility and yoga. Well, good luck stretching yourself into strength. It's not going to happen. So the thing is, they're all correct, but they're all missing components of certain aspects that would be a benefit to all of us. Okay, so if you only did strength training, you're missing out on all these things that yoga-esque type moves or Pilates type moves would have. So why not take the best from the Pilates? Why not take the best from the yoga and add them to your powerlifting? Why not take the best from powerlifting and add them into your program? Why not take the best from all of these different venues and make them all into the one program that is best for each individual? That's my job. That's what I do. That's what I've been doing I started doing this. This is actually my 10th year. So I started this in 2007, and I just kept on pulling more tools into the toolbox, okay? I remember my first Pilates class, I got done. I was like, actually, that feels kind of nice. Like, that's good stuff. It's really nice. I can't hate on Pilates too much. However, the 10% of Pilates that is genius could have been just jammed into a 2-minute time frame. The other 90% or 80% of it was a complete waste of time, and another 10% of it was like, yeah, they should never do that move. They should never do that move. That's like an atomic bomb going off in people's spines. So that was the learning lesson of studying Pilates. Okay, studying yoga was the same thing. It was like 10% of it was absolutely magical, amazing, great. It was like, wow, this is great stuff. 80% of it was like, that's a waste of time. You don't need that. Maybe certain people do, and then 10% of it was downright dangerous. Okay, that's how yoga and Pilates is. Powerlifting is kind of similar. There's about 10% of powerlifting that's really stupid, and about 10%, maybe 20% that's absolute genius, and a lot of it is just dudes just trying to get really yoked. So bodybuilding's kind of the same way. Olympic lifting has some of the same thing, but why not pull from all of these different pools and try to make the best program for your specific body and what you're going for? If you're trying to become the most limber person on earth, you're going to do a lot more stretching than you are strength training. If you're trying to live your life in a way that has like this vibrancy to it and this ability to do things whenever and wherever you want, then you got to get strong, but you also got to be mobile, but you also got to be in good cardio shape, and you also got to have your alactic glycolytics all in line. So you got to have certain things going into that. If you're a baseball player, you're going to train different than if you're a football player, but they're going to look pretty similar. Those programs are going to look pretty similar. Okay, so really the complication around exercise is a lack of education amongst the exercise community. The more you can hold them. So you guys are probably not part of the exercise community. You are the professionals in the exercise community. They're like, I'm a professional. I get paid to teach people how to exercise. So of you guys, the higher of a standard you hold professionals to, the better. The higher the standard that you hold the professionals to, the better, because then the whole group of people will end up expanding their knowledge and keep growing and growing and growing. But if we keep paying these people that suck, then you're just going to get more people that suck. And there's a lot of people that suck in this industry. Okay, what about sugar? So the sugar thing is really interesting. For one, everybody thinks it's like poison. It's interesting. For one, it's not poison. We've been eating sugar for a really long time. Now, when I say that, please don't mistake that for you get to eat as much sugar as you want. The sugar industry has really pulled some pretty kind of scummy moves along the way. And basically everybody in history, they weren't wrong, but they weren't right. We've just been building up new information to the point that now some things are coming to light. Now, is sugar good for you? In small quantities, it's perfectly fine. In huge quantities, it's terrible. Like if you were stuck in the middle of the ocean without a boat and no fresh water, well, then you're going to die. You're going to drown. That's toxic. That's poisonous. You know, it's not going to go well for you, right? So the same thing. If you're just consuming sugar, that's a problem. Now, the thing with this is you're still not a victim. You're still not a victim of the marketing companies, because each of us as individuals decide what is going to go into our mouth. We get to decide whether we go to a fast food chain. We get to decide whether we pick up the Hot Pocket or the Pop-Tart. We get to decide whether we eat the vegetable or we eat the Snickers bar. We decide. We are not, like, you're not a victim of your genetics even. Okay? You decide what goes into your body. You decide how your body is nurtured. You decide. Now, I'm not saying it's not difficult. I'm saying it's simple. Okay? But sugar is not an addiction. Even I would go so far as to say that cocaine and a lot of these addictive drugs that, what are classified as addictive drugs are not addictive. You get to decide. You were not born, for instance, you weren't born with an addiction. Okay? And just because you did it one time, did some cocaine one time, or you did Adderall one time, or you did, I don't know, what's another addictive drug, or you ate some sugar one time, doesn't mean that you're just automatically addicted. Okay? Just because it lights up the areas of your brain that happen when you do cocaine or when you take Adderall does not necessarily mean that you're automatically addicted to that thing. I would even go so far as to say that addiction is not what people think it is. I think addiction is a matter of focus. It's a matter of being obsessed. It's a matter of, I'm going to be obsessed with this thing rather than being obsessed with myself. If I get scared and I reach for booze or a drug or whatever it is, then that's the thing that I'm focusing on. That's the thing that I'm trying to self-nurture with. If I can take the time to confront that fear instead of reaching for that thing, then I'm probably not going to become addicted to it. Okay? I think it's a matter of being more committed to you than it is to the substance. So I don't think anybody is addicted to sugar. I think that they become addicted to sugar when they let it rule them. But that's a choice. They are not a victim. That is a choice. It might be a sneaky choice. It's still a choice. And addiction carries this massive, we give it so much power. Addictions are broken all the time. You're not always addicted. People break alcoholism, they break tobacco, they break drugs, they break sex addiction, they break all kinds of addictions. Adderall is an extremely addictive drug up there it's considered an extreme Adderall is considered an extremely addictive drug. I took, so is Ritalin, so is Concerta, Dexedrine, and all these kind of ADD medications. I took medications up until I was 20 years old. I am not addicted to those drugs, even though they're extremely addictive. How is that the case? How are millions of kids that grew up on these things not addicted to these drugs if they are have such addictive qualities? And they grew up with them. They had their parents give them to them. So what's the difference? I have a hard time seeing the difference between a drug dealer and a person in a white coat handing off a drug. The drug is still the drug. It doesn't matter if it's coming from a dealer or a doctor. It's still the same drug, and we're giving it. So we're saying it's terrible to give to a Joe Schmo on the street, but it's okay to shove it down a 5-year-old's mouth. It doesn't make any sense to me, and it can't always be just an inherited ability to be addicted to something. You're not addicted to sugar. You're not. It's the most bogus thing in the world. If you watch, what is that movie? It's not Half Baked. Half Baked, Dave Chappelle movie, right? So he goes to the AA meeting and he says, he's addicted to marijuana, and Bob Saget's character gets up and says how marijuana isn't a drug and that you can't be addicted, and that he was addicted to crack cocaine. And he said, have you ever sucked dick for marijuana? And he goes, no, I didn't think so. And that's the thing. Like, this guy was that addicted that he went to that level to get more crack cocaine. Nobody does that. Like, nobody does that for sugar. Nobody does that for sugar. And nobody would do that for sugar if sugar were all of a sudden removed from our lives. GMOs, like, the fear-mongering around GMOs is what really I wanted to hit on today. the fear mongering is what blows my mind. Everything is a GMO. Everything. Carrots in nature would be all haphazardly grown, like random, and look more brown than they would purple or orange. Cows would be like the cattle that we eat. They wouldn't be docile. They'd be these wild animals like a wolf. Like they'd be ready to kill you. They wouldn't be ready to just be your buddy and come up to you. They've been bred that way. Everything has been bred up to this point to be what we can harvest off of. Everything is a GMO. There is no data whatsoever, but it also hasn't been tested yet, so we don't know. But there's no real data out there to say, oh, GMO is bad or good. There's just not. And the classification of GMO is this really ambiguous thing. Okay, everything has been genetically modified to some extent. Everything has been genetically modified to some extent. So even broccoli. Broccoli is a genetically modified food. Try finding a nutritionist that doesn't think that broccoli is good for you. Try finding a vegan that doesn't think that broccoli is good for you. Broccoli is a GMO. It was made by Italian farmers by crossbreeding kale and different kinds of cabbages. Okay, it's a GMO. It's a genetically modified food. Okay, cows are a genetically modified food. Everything, the wheat that we eat in the United States, is genetically modified food. Everything is genetically modified. Agriculture is genetically modifying things all the time, and it has since the beginning. Agriculture was also, quick side note, the way it is the source of all our abilities to do what we do right now. It increased the survivability of peoples. So before that, we were just foragers, right? All of a sudden, this woman in the Middle East develops agriculture. She figured out that things grow better in certain areas, and she started figuring out how to do this. Okay, she developed agriculture. Kind of cool. But that means that women are responsible for everything. All of our abilities, all of our technologies were based off of the ability to grow food. We could not have survived and gotten to this point of survivability without the ability to build food the way that we did. But GMOs, all these things, it's fear mongering. It's just the ability to get you scared, okay? And think about this for a second. How we get cattle to actually eat more so that they grow faster, we crowd them. We crowd them to make them nervous so that they eat more, okay? We get them emotional. Okay, when you watch TV, what do you see on TV? You get ads that are trying to get you emotional, to an emotional state where you can't think very well, you can't think logically while you're thinking emotionally, so you run out and you try to find the thing that is best, or that is fastest to make you feel better. Whether that's frosting, a Big Mac, I don't know, ice cream, whatever it is. How is that doing for your nutrition? How is that doing for your health? Okay. You gotta shut off the news. You got to shut off the TV. You got to get rid of the ads, and things are going to get a lot better. So much of this stuff is just fear-mongering bullshit. The exercise debacle is really just a lack of education. The sugar thing, it's just trying to scare you into doing something else. The GMO thing, it's not real. Everything is a GMO. It's real, but everything is a GMO. Get over it. It's really not all that complicated, but I didn't realize how long I'd been yammering on. So thanks for being here, guys. I'll be here tomorrow, but I'm trying to take these shows only to 1 p.m. So if you guys have suggestions on things to talk about, questions that you have, please, I'm super receptive. I'd love to dig into it. Plus, it's not always easy coming up with the topic of the day. But anyway, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. It's super humbling that people actually stop in just to hear me talk. But tomorrow we have a cool interview with a guy named Mike, so you'll want to be here for that one. Anyway, every day 12:30. Thank you guys, I appreciate it.